Philippines,
and welcome to Global Current News.
and we are back again for another interesting news update. Shanghai limits population growth to 25 million, a balancing act.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're taking a look at major urban planning decisions out of China. Shanghai, a global economic powerhouse, has announced it will cap its permanent population at 25 million. This decision detailed in city's newly adopted master plan through 2035. Its aims squarely attacking the urban ills plaguing many major cities, environmental pollution, creeping traffic congestion, and strain on public services.
Currently, Shanghai population stands at 24.2 million, leaving room for only 800,000 more residents. Authorities believe this gap will allow them to better manage resources and improve the quality of life for those already within the city. The state council is also set to restrict the amount of land available for future development.
Whatever the policy isn't not without its critics.
A research fellow at the Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences predicts that the burden will fall heavily on the city's poor. As the government begins to dismantle cheaper housing options, those with limited resources will find themselves increasingly marginalized. The Global Times, a state-run newspaper, has even called that demand limit impractical and against the natural progression of social development.
Meanwhile, Beijing is also grappling with population control. They aiming for 23 million gap by 2020 and actively relocating government office to a newly constructed city about 50 miles to the south. This raises a critical question. Is this the future of urban planning in China and potentially the world?
The implication of Shanghai policy extend beyond its borders. It begs the question, could similar measurement be implemented in other densely populated nations? For example, could this work in the Philippines, a country grappling with its own rapid urbanization and population growth? The answer and the potential consequences remains to be seen.
Shanghai decision is a stark reminder that the challenge of urban growth are complex and require innovation and sometimes controversial solution. We continue to follow this story as it unfolds.
For now, it's clear that Shanghai entering a new era, one that will redefine its relationship with its people and its future.
In that report,
On the global demographic transition,
a sweeping phenomenon that has fundamentally reshaped of human society over the past 3 centuries.
we will begin by looking at the state of the world before this transition. Life was markedly different. Life expectancy was low. Birth rates were high. Population growth was slow. And the population was predominantly young.
The demographic transition, a shift characterized by declaring mortality and paternity rates, began around 1800 in Europe. This transition has spread across the globe and projected to be completed by 2100. This process has led to a significant change in population growth pattern, moving from a period of acceleration to a phase of slowing growth, ultimately trending toward low paternity, low lifespan, and older population.
growth. Since 1800s, the global population has increased sixfold, and it is projected to increase tenfold by 2100s. Age structure. The number of elderly individuals will have increased dramatically by a factor of 50, while the number of children will have increased only 5-fold. This will result in a tenfold increase in the ratio of elders to children. Life expectancy. The length of life has more than doubled and is expected to triple. Fertility rates. Births per women have dropped significantly from 6 to 2. Women's roles. In 1800s, women spent approximately 70% of their adult years bearing and rearing young children. Today, due to lower fertility and longer lifespans, that fraction has decreased in about 14% in many parts of the world.
To give us more insight about morality decline, let's go to our health correspondent, Mr. Barito.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. The world demographic transition began in Northwest Europe, with mortality starting its decline around 1800s. The initial decline in mortality was largely due to reduction in contagious and infectious disease transmitted by air or water.
Locusts destroyed our crops last year, and we had no money to buy food. There was nothing to eat, and I had no more breast milk for my daughter. All I could do was cry.
Preventive medicine such as the smallpox vaccine played a significant role in this decline during 18th century. Improvements in personal hygiene, facilitated by rising incomes, also contributed. The germ theory of disease gained wider acceptance, further aiding in combating infectious disease. Improvements in nutrition also played a major role in the early phase of increasing life expectancy.
When children arrive here, they are already in a critical state.
Famine mortality was reduced through advancement in food storage and transportation. Increases in income led to better nutrition throughout childhood and adulthood. Life expectancy is positively associated with height, reflecting improved nutrition in the industrial country population. In recent decades, the continued reduction in mortality is attributed to declines in chronic and degenerative disease, notably heart disease and cancer. Biomedical research, including publicly organized and funded initiatives like the Human Genome Project and the stem cell research, has become increasingly important and promises further gains in the future. To illustrate gains in life expectancy, let's look at some examples. In India, life expectancy rose from around 24 years in 1920 to 62 years today, an increase of 0.48 years per calendar year over 80 years. In China, life expectancy increased from 41 years in 1950 to 1955 to 70 years in 1995 to 1999, a gain of 0.65 years per year over 45 years. There are varying perspectives on how much further life expectancy can increase.
We've learned about the importance of breastfeeding and making other important foods for children like beans and peanut butter-enriched porridge and other foods.
On the optimistic side, some projections based on the highest national female life expectancy attained for each calendar year from 1840 to 2000 suggest that life expectancy could reach 97.5 years by mid-century and 109 years by 2100s. Less optimistic projections based on extrapolation of trends and age-specific datas indicate more modest gains, with average life expectancy approaching 90 years by the end of 21st century for high-income nations.
The importance of these efforts is to reduce child mortality in India.
Now, I will hand it over to our economics correspondent, Ms. Villaber, who will explore the fertility transition.
Thank you, Mr. Barrido. Let's turn our attention to the fertility transition.
Infertility just feels like a special little corner of hell that just goes on and on and on.
Between 1890 and 1920, marital fertility began to decline in most European provinces, with a median decline of about 40% from 1870 to 1930.
I think there's an infertility pandemic, and I think it's getting worse. Infertility rates are quoted as 1 in 8, but I think it's much higher.
Most economic theories of fertility are based on the idea that couples have desired a certain number of surviving children. Improvements in child survival are partly a result of parental decision to invest more in the health and welfare of a smaller number of children. Economic changes that influence the cost and benefits of childbearing also play a role in fertility rates. Raising children is time-intensive. Technological progress and increasing human capital have made labor more productive, raising the value of time and making children more costly relative to consumption goods, since women have historically had primary responsibility for childbearing and rearing. Changes in women's productivity have been particularly important. Raising incomes have shifted consumption demanded toward non-agricultural goods and services, for which educated labor is more important. These patterns have several effects. Children become more expensive, their economic contribution are reduced by school time, and educated parents have a higher value of time, increasing the opportunity cost of childbearing. Furthermore, as incomes rise, parents choose to invest more resources in each child, which increases the cost of each child and leads to fewer children. Talk about population growth. We'll be back with Ms. Soltes.
Hello and welcome back. We will continue the news with the population growth. The initial fertility and mortality determines population growth trajectories for more, less, and least developed countries between 1950 and 2050 show distinct patterns. The trajectory for Europe from 1800 to 1950 provides a historical context, with its endpoint in 1950 close to the starting point for more developed countries. Starting points varied, with India having higher initial fertility and mortality than Europe, and least developed countries having higher rates than less developed countries in 1950, which in turn had higher than more developed countries. These starting points indicated moderate to rapid population growth.
Child survival drives everything. Let's go back into history. Why did the world population grow so slowly before 1800?
Over the past 50 years, there has been rapid global convergence in fertility and mortality among nations. Although differences remain, this convergence contrasts with the divergence in per capita GDP between high-income and low-income countries during the same period. Today, the median individual lives in country with a total fertility rate of 2.3 and median life expectancy at birth of 68 years. And for the consequences of demographic transition, we will pass it on Mr. Ladik. Mr. Ladik?
Thank you, Ms. Holtes. The demographic transition from 1800s to 2100s will have far-reaching consequences. The total population is projected to increase from 1 billion in 1800s to 9.5 billion in 2100s. Although this long-term estimate is uncertain, largely due to uncertainties about the future fertility rates, the average length of life will increase significantly and the median age of the population will double. Many more developed countries already have negative population growth rates, and the United Nations projects that Europe's population will decline by 13% between now and 2050.
So, is the population exploding or collapsing? And what does it mean for the future?
This demographic shift will also trigger changes in family structure, migration patterns, health, institution for saving and retirement, and international capital flows. The number of children born per family will decline sharply, and childbearing will be concentrated into fewer years of a woman's life. Combined with the increased longevity, this will result in more adult years available for other activities. The joint survivorship of couples will increase and kin networks will become more intergenerationally dense but horizontally sparser. While these changes are broadly universal, specific patterns such as timing of childbearing and age at marriage may vary across different settings and continue to evolve. Parents with fewer children are able to invest more in each child, reflecting the quality over quantity trade-off that may contribute to reduced fertility rates. The global demographic transition is a complex and multifaceted process with profound implications for individuals and societies worldwide. Understanding this demographic shift is crucial for addressing the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. And that's it for the news for today. Again, I am Ladik Rodmo.
I'm Barido Nainhard.
I'm Villaver Jane.
I'm Soltes Fiona.
I am Garcia Zulina.
And I am Sarmiento ICC. We are the news anchors and casters of Global Current News at your service.